right, everybody, welcome into another edition of the Bronco Coaches Show here at Old Burdick's out at Wings West. While the downtown location goes through a bit of a renovation, Rob Lau in for Robin Hook this week. He's out in St. Paul, Minnesota for the Frozen Face-Off. The Broncos taking on North Dakota tomorrow night in the NCHC Tournament semifinals. First guest tonight is head baseball coach Billy Gernon. Coach, thanks for being here.
Great to be here, Rob. Appreciate the invite.
Well, we don't want to harp too much on last season, but it was such a great run with all those seniors that you guys had and just a dominating MAC tournament run. Just kind of, how was that to go through? I mean, there's so many guys that were here for 3, 4, and 5 years. It must have been really special for you guys to go through that together.
Well, it really was, and looking back on it, even as far as 2020, when COVID ended the season for everybody, that was off to a great start at 9-5 with a win over USC in Los Angeles, and then the season gets canceled. 2021, you ended up finishing third, and only the first place team went to the tournament. 2022, we had our handful of injuries on the mound, and then in 23 it was a special season, and then 24 was the special season, as you mentioned. A lot of veterans. I know you're going to speak to Dylan today, but Dylan was one of the younger players last year, and this year he's the oldest player. So it started off with back-to-back wins over Michigan to start the season, and then a sweep of Pepperdine, and it just kept going, Rob. And it was a tough schedule that included Florida State, Michigan State, Illinois, VCU. Illinois and VCU were all conference champions. And when we got into the league, we really started playing even better. And rolled through there pretty good and got the 2 seed, and then went over there and in my opinion just dominated the MAC tournament. and now we're here in 2025. I was telling some people opening day against Michigan State, we had 4 players on the field that didn't have a combined 10 college at bats. So we're really working hard trying to get the team back to a championship type performance on the field so that we can win championships, and a big win over Michigan on Tuesday is kind of helping that.
Yeah, you guys loaded up that schedule with all those guys that you had to replace, the seniors, in the lineup and on the mound, and then Luke Phelan ends up leaving early because he gets drafted by the Colorado Rockies. And there's been guys, as you said, who are in new roles or just brand new to the program, and they've had to step up, especially with 8 of your first 10 games against Big Ten or ACC teams.
Yeah, there's a saying in sports that the best ability is availability, and now I think in coaching the best ability is adaptability. We lost some players to the draft, we lost some players to the transfer portal, but at the same time we picked up some special players for the transfer portal, and you're going to talk to one of them tonight. So you just have to be adaptable into the things that are going on in the game today, and it was special, as you said, Rob, with all those guys and all those veterans. And I don't want to say we're in a rebuild because we did reload with some special players, but man, experience and veterans at every position puts you in a different light, and these guys are getting some hard knock experience this year. I think you mentioned in one of your stories that we had the 20th toughest strength of schedule in the country. That is by design, right? You just never know. It's starting to get harder to predict what type of team you're going to have when you get to a dominant program like Louisville and a dominant program like Georgia Tech. Excuse me, but I think our guys would tell you that they really enjoy those experiences, but nevertheless, those were some pretty tough battles. And now that we kind of got our feet underneath us a little bit, we're expecting to have a big weekend here coming up with Akron and get ourselves moving towards winning the league and then getting ourselves to the tournament so we can get back to the NCAA tournament.
We mentioned it the other day, a shutout of Michigan, first time you shut out a Big Ten team in a while, and it started off with one of those transfers you talked about, Reese Gaber. He hadn't pitched in a couple weeks, but 2 hits, or he only gave up 1 hit in his 6 innings. What was working for him the other night?
Well, everything, and he was pounding the outside corner with his fastball. He was getting ahead. He had leverage in most counts. I think he only issued a couple, 2-3 walks. Didn't really strike out many, but it was strike 1, which is the best pitch in baseball. And then he was winning the 1-1 battle often, Rob, where the hitters were kind of forced to have to commit to driving the ball the other way. A couple of their guys did, not enough of their guys did. And then we were able to kind of small ball our way into a 3-run lead. And then one of the best hitters that I've ever had the privilege of coaching, who you're also going to speak to tonight, been struggling a little bit this year, been getting really pitched hard, and started swinging the bat a little bit. like in his style here in the last week or so, and then hit a big home run in the ninth to just create some space for us and to propel us to a 6-0 victory.
Now that Dylan, who you're talking about there, he's hit homers in back-to-back games. He's closing in on the all-time RBI record at Western Michigan, and like you said, he's a big, important part of this lineup. And to get him going, this team all of a sudden becomes that much more scary.
Well, you're going to get to talk to, and people will get to see the freshman of the year in 2022, the MAC tournament MVP in 2024. And I've been privileged to coach a lot of good players, a lot of good hitters, but Dylan would have to be in the conversation of maybe the best hitter that I've ever coached as far as line to line, gap to gap, power, average, and all those things. And everybody else knows that too, and that's why he sees split fingers in 3-0 counts. He was in the dugout the other day, and he just started, he's very calm, very level-headed, but he just said, I never get fastballs. And he might credit me with his first home run against Eastern Michigan, but I can't take credit for anything else. This guy's just has a knack for driving in runs, and I think it'd be fun for you and him to talk about the milestone career record he's creeping up on quick.
Absolutely. One of the guys who's been the most consistent in your order is guys who hit leadoff a lot, Tanner Malley, and he didn't have many bats as a true freshman last year, but not only is he getting on base at over a 50% clip, but he's an infielder by trade, and he's playing center field and doing a heck of a job out there for you.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing maybe most people don't know, and I have had the privilege of coaching a lot of tough players, and Tanner Malley would be in that conversation. He'll wear pitches for you. He'll give up his body to make outs and make plays. You're going to talk with Ty McKinstry. I think Ty would tell you that he would love to have Tanner Malley in center field for the rest of his life because Tanner takes away base hits. He plays hard. He's a tough out. Really set the bar last year, Rob, for just being a great teammate. I mean, he was an infectious person in the dugout. He's one of those guys that it's not about him. And he had a really good summer in the collegiate league that he played in, and now it's transferring into this year, and he's been a spark plug for us at the top of the lineup.
Got some other guys that are starting to come around a little bit as well. Grady Mee's been one of the more consistent hitters at the top of the lineup too, but also Connor Ostrander and Avery Thielman in their first years kind of in more full-time roles are starting to swing hotter bats as well as we get into mid-March here.
Yeah, Grady's a special talent. He's a special athlete. The only thing he's been working on is being able to try to kind of emulate Dylan and be able to hit to all fields. And you got a little taste of it with his speed when he hits ground balls from the left side to the left side of the infield. You can just put it down as a base hit. I think he's 9 for 9 in the stolen base department. A lot of credit to our assistant coach, Josh Rebant, who's kind of been spearheading that base running program for us. And we're starting to see some of the fruits of his labors. It's just been hard, Rob, when you're playing these ACC powerhouses and you're chasing 4 or 5 runs early. It's just really hard to get any kind of offensive continuity and being able to do the things that you want to do because it's all hands on deck, right? You're trying to keep the game respectful and you're trying to get back in the game. And now that the competition's leveled out, I would say, and we're able to kind of do the things that we had planned on doing, and I'm looking forward to seeing where we might take this stolen base thing. And to your point, Avery has been a nice surprise, putting together some good at-bats for us. And then Ostrander, defensively and offensively. We need those guys to do things, Rob, because they were veterans, working while they waited last year. Now they're getting some opportunities. And I'm excited for them and for us. And we just need to keep doing this as we move through these MAC games where we make our real money, right? Conference games are where we make our money. And pre-conference and everything outside of it is intended to iron sharpens iron and make us better, and I hope that's what's going to happen from this year like it did last year.
You mentioned Josh Rebant as an assistant coach. He's new to the program. Zach Putnam is the new pitching coach as well. We're replacing Daniel Schler, who did a heck of a job with the last year's staff. What have you noticed from the guys in response to them and their coaching styles and what they've brought to the program so far?
Well, I would say 2 things. I feel like we were really lucky to get Daniel Schlereth, and I think we were even luckier to get Zach Putnam. And I say luckier because when you lose somebody like Danny, you start thinking, how am I going to replace this? And, your pitchers and everything are sitting here waiting on the hire. And when we were able to secure Zach and put him on the staff, he's got a lot of similarities with this Danny as far as his big league experience, but he's completely different and very unique. Just like Danny was. And I think the guys really like working with him. He's He's very methodical and very cerebral in his process, very cool-headed, and very, very knowledgeable, and it's done a great job. When you look at our ERA, you would think, wow, but when you look at the MAC stats, you know, we're talking about somewhere around 19 or 20 strikeouts and only 5 walks issued. So, you know, when the water settled a little bit, the work that Zach has put in started to show up a lot more.
Absolutely. Big series this weekend at home. Akron coming to town. Two teams that are hungry for a series victory after dropping their first two. What do you expect this weekend against the Zips?
Well, I was just sitting there talking to Marley, who you're going to talk to a little bit, our softball coach, and we both agree that if you don't show up ready to play, anybody in this league can beat you. And last year, one of the few series that we lost was at Akron. They've got one of the better arms in the league, and this kid named Schaefer. He's a 3-pitch mix guy. Hardly ever throws back-to-back fastballs. He throws everything for a strike. There's enough velocity there to make you uncomfortable. And his opponent will be Ty McKinstry, who you speak to, and we just need Ty to keep going out and doing what he does. He's been a great Friday night guy for us. He really sets the tone, gives us a chance to win pretty much every time he goes out, and that'll be the key, you know, just to keep us close so that we can grind out some at-bats. And I feel like if, you know, we get that game, then we're going to be talking about big things. But, you know, just winning a series at home is a big deal, and it'll be progress for us and moving in the right direction to where we can start stacking some wins coming off of a big victory in Ann Arbor.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for your time tonight, and good luck this weekend. Hopefully the weather will hold out for you.
I don't know about the weather holding out, but we're going to play anyway, Rob. Thanks for having me, and go Broncos.
We'll be back with Dylan Nevar and Ty McKinstry when we come back here on the Bronco Coaches Show at Old Burdocks at Wings West.
Burdocks has burgers, not burgers. Burgers. All natural, honest to bigness, bona fide, aged steak, beef, burgers. Or chickpea. And Burdocks has beer, not beer. Beer. Whether it's winning the big game or winning at life, it all happens right here at Old Burdocks.
Hi, I'm Jim Vandenberg. If you've been driving around, you've noticed empty lots and no new cars. We understand how frustrating this can be. That's why we've done the legwork for you. We're getting in CPO shipments from coast to coast to bring you the best late model vehicles with certified warranties. Don't get taken advantage of with markups on new and used cars. We make sure you get the best value for your car buying dollar. Maple Hill Auto Group, for value like no other.
Back here on the Bronco Coaches Show, we're at Old Burdocks at Wings West. While the downtown location gets a little bit of a renovation, Rob Lau in for Robin Hook this week, who's out in St. Paul for the Frozen Face-Off in the NCHC tournament. Joined by a couple of Bronco baseball players. We got redshirt senior outfielder Dylan Nevar here in the middle. He's from Wisconsin Dells. And then Ty McKinstry, junior right-handed pitcher from Frankenmuth on the east side of the state. Welcome, guys. Thanks for coming up. First off, Dylan, we'll start with you. Finally got to play a couple of home games last week, and it was 70 degrees in mid-March. You guys don't get that too often.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. You know, 5th year, I don't know if we've ever had a series in March where it's been weather that nice. Usually we're always battling the cold. But yeah, it was nice to finally be at home after being on the road for 4 weeks and get a good home series and just sleep in our own bed for a week. So that was nice.
Absolutely. And Ty, you finally got to take the mound in a regular season game at Himes Field, and how did that feel?
It was awesome. It was a great atmosphere on Friday, and You know, it was nice and sunny out. Couldn't have it any better.
Well, unfortunately, we couldn't order up another weekend like that weather-wise, but at least you guys are home again and finally get to get a little bit more of a rhythm now that you guys are in back play.
For sure.
You guys have a challenging non-conference schedule every season. We talked with Coach about it. Dylan, you know, from being in the program for 5 seasons, you know about some of the trips. You know, number 1 LSU a couple years ago, and this year down to Louisville and Georgia Tech. What do you guys think about those kind of trips, the early season? You know, taking on some of the top teams in the country, teams that you know are going to be, you know, making the NCAA tournament come June.
Yeah, I think it's great. Like Coach was saying, it gives us a great experience, but also a challenge, so that we're ready to go when it comes MAC play.
Absolutely, Dylan.
Yeah, obviously, you know, Coach always talks about how iron sharpens iron, and, you know, playing those tougher teams really helps get us ready for MAC play, so that when we get to MAC play, it's like, I guess it's better. I don't want to say it's easier, but it's more, we're more experienced, we're more ready to go once we get into MAC play.
Absolutely, and you got another one of those big wins over a power conference team the other day, shut out Michigan. On Tuesday, Dylan, you had 3 hits and drove in 4, had a big home run to kind of put the icing on the cake in the 9th inning there. And just what is it like to be able to go there and beat those guys in 3rd place for the 2nd time in the last couple of years?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You know, we'd been knocking on the door of having some big wins, and finally we were able to put it all together. Got a great quality start from Reese, and the bullpen did really well in relief. Came in through strikes. Everybody threw strikes all day, and yeah, it just felt good, really good to get a win going into the series this weekend.
Ty, I know you didn't get an opportunity to pitch in that game since you'll be starting tomorrow, but what did you kind of see from the dugout and, you know, the guys that were out there on the mound?
Yeah, it was great. Reese pitched an awesome game. Defense played well and offense played well, and I think we had no errors. So when we play complete baseball like that, it usually goes our way, and it did on Tuesday.
Absolutely, and that defense has been something that seems like it's really been picking up, you know, behind you and the other guys the last couple of weeks as you guys have kind of gotten your feet under you a little bit.
Oh yeah, the defense is great out there. I think if during my starts, if I have anyone else out there, it might go a whole different way. So they play awesome.
Absolutely. So now that you guys are, you know, about halfway through your season-ish, maybe not quite, but what have you guys noticed? And Ty, we'll start with you since you have the mic. What have you noticed areas where the team has really improved the most or made the most growth since you guys started together in fall ball back in the fall semester?
Yeah, I think as Coach said, experience levels were low with a lot of us, and I think as we have played more and more, guys are becoming more comfortable out there, and we're seeing the ball well right now, and we're hoping for an exciting run down the stretch.
Dylan, what about you? Same question. Where do you think you guys have grown the most since September?
I would say, at least from the start of the year, free bases have been a big issue for us. You know, that's how we've lost most of our games, I would say. But as the season's gone on, you know, we've gotten a lot better, you know, managing, giving away free bases, both on the mound and defensively, and also on offense too. When free bases are given to us, we're doing a better job of taking advantage of that. So we just need to keep doing that, and we'll keep headed in the right direction.
So Dylan, you've been with the program 5 years now, as Coach mentioned, on the brink of breaking the RBI record. You got your 200th career hit the other day. You're closing on all these accolades. What does it just kind of mean to you with this program that's had so many good offensive players go through it, that you're, you know, among the best of the best to ever wear the brown and gold?
Yeah, I mean, it feels unreal. It feels super special. You know, I give a lot of credit to Coach Gernon, his coaching staff, and my teammates for putting me in a position to succeed so much. But yeah, I mean, it feels awesome. I know it'll be sweet when it happens, but right now I'm just looking forward to getting out there against Akron this weekend and winning the series or sweeping the series.
Absolutely. Now, as I said, it's your 5th year with the program. What have been some of the best memories in your time as a Bronco?
Got to start with winning the MAC tournament last year. I mean, that's right at the top for sure. And I would say, honestly, just the culture all around, just being around the guys every day. They make coming to the park so easy. It's a lot of fun, and I'm just looking forward to really enjoying the rest of this year with my guys.
For sure. Ty, I know you've only been with the program for just the fall and now so far this season, but what has been kind of your favorite part so far of being a Bronco?
Oh, like Dill said, I think just being around the culture and showing up to practice every day with the guys and just getting better every day. And that's what we've been doing, and that's what we'll continue to do.
You started your career at Davenport up in Grand Rapids. After 2 good seasons there, you decided to move on, and what made Western Michigan the right fit for you?
Yeah, so obviously the transfer portal has its uncertainties, but I had a few calls with Coach, and he just talked about the culture and how special Western is. And after a few calls with him, I knew this was the place to be, and it's been nothing short of that.
Absolutely. You're off to a great start as a Bronco. 3 quality starts so far. A one-hitter on opening day against Michigan State. That's a heck of a way to announce your arrival.
Yeah, that was a unfortunate day because we got the loss, but threw well, and the defense played amazing.
Absolutely. Dylan, you have to go back a few more years to remember what your recruiting process was like and everything, but what made Western Michigan the right fit for you when you decided, when you made that decision?
Yeah, I would have to say the culture too. You know, that Coach Gernon, remember on my visit, he really preached the culture here and just how things are done around here, and I feel like that was kind of the icing on the cake that led to my decision to come here.
You're an electrical engineering major. You're the first academic All-American the program's had in about 30 years last year, and what kind of led you down that path, and what did that honor mean to you to be an academic All-American?
Say that again?
What did it mean to you to be an academic All-American?
Oh, it means a lot. You know, I mean, I definitely work hard on the field, but I work just as hard or harder in the classroom. You know, I take my studies very seriously, and Coach really appreciates that. He harps on grades and academics as a whole for the team and take a lot of pride in that, so it feels really good.
And you have to, as an electrical engineering major, I would guess, take your studies pretty seriously. What led you to want to study that?
What's that?
What made you want to study electrical engineering?
You know, that's a good question, honestly. I don't know. It's just something that's always interested me. And, you know, my dad, he had some influence in that. You know, he works in that industry. So just kind of being around that, I guess, kind of pushed me that direction.
Ty, you're an exercise science major, I believe. What made you decide on that one?
Kind of just wanted to stay in sports. I mean, you see guys get injured, and it's really unfortunate. So kind of just want to stay in there and help guys who, if that happens to them, help them rebuild back, and so they can get back on the field.
Absolutely. Baseball players are always known for being, creatures of habit, superstitious. So pregame routine, you're starting tomorrow. What is kind of your pregame routine and ritual to get you ready for a start?
Have a nice breakfast and just get to the ballpark nice and early and get ready to go for tomorrow.
Absolutely. Dylan, what's your kind of pregame routine? Is there anything particular that you always have to do before every game?
Nothing too crazy. I would just say the routine that we have as a team. Nothing real too special. Just staying focused on what we need to do for that day. So.
Awesome. Well, guys, I appreciate you coming out tonight, and good luck this weekend against the Zips.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's Dylan Nevar and Ty McKinstry from Western Michigan Baseball. They're at home starting tomorrow with a doubleheader against Akron. 3-game series at Robert J. Bob Stadium in Himes Field. Tickets available at wbroncos.com/tickets. We'll switch gears and turn things over to Western Michigan softball after this quick timeout here on the Bronco Coaches Show.
How far do you have to go to find a great deal on a new Ford SUV?
Not too far.
How about a new Ford F-150?
Not too far.
How about for basic maintenance and service?
Not too far at all. With Dorrance Ford's mobile service, we'll come to you.
Nice.
Now's the time to buy because we're making room for the 2025 Fords and moving out the 24s. Come in now for the best selection. Dorrance Ford is proud to support Bronco Athletics. Shop Dorrance Ford.
Not too far for your next car.
Verdicts has burgers, not burgers. Burgers. All natural, honest to bigness, bona fide, aged steak, beef, burgers. Or chickpea. And Verdicts has beer, not beer. Beer. Whether it's winning the big game or winning at life, it all happens right here at Old Verdicts.
Attention Bronco fans. Looking for a direct way to show your support? Meet Roy, the mobile app that lets you back your favorite college athletes. If knowing exactly where your money is going matters to you, now's your chance to make a difference. With Roy, you choose which athlete receives your support, helping keep your favorite players on the team. Download the Roy app today and join us in shaping the future of your athletic program. Roy is a proud partner of WMU Athletics and the Broncos Will Reign Collective.
Welcome back to the Bronco Coaches Show here at Old Verdicts at Wings West. We'll be here on Thursdays at 6. If you miss it live, you can catch it archived on our YouTube page. Rob Lau in for Robin Hook this week. We're now joined by softball head coach Marley Wilson. Marley, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me and our girls.
You're in your second season as the head coach, third season overall back as a Bronco. What does it mean to you to be the head coach of your alma mater?
Yeah, it's really cool. I think about it every day when I go to the field, and I'm just taking it from a totally different perspective. I feel like I played in a lot of different roles as a player, being injured, being in all the different roles. So to be able to then be the assistant coach and now the head coach is really special.
When you were here, did you have any sort of indication, like, I think I might be back here as a coach someday, or in coaching at all? Did you have any?
Not at all. Not until I redshirted my true junior year and really had to look at the game from a different perspective and, try to lead. I was a captain that year, so try to figure out how to continue leading the team from not on the field, and couldn't physically do it. So that's when I really wanted to pursue coaching.
Well, and you had a great first season as the head coach, 27 wins last year, finished third in the MAC, just outside of the second spot in the conference. And then you come back this year and you take a page out of Coach Gernon's book and you load up that non-conference schedule. First weekend out in Arizona, you had Michigan State, Washington, Arizona, Alabama. Just what kind of made you decide to go that route and really schedule so aggressively?
Yeah, I think the veterans in our program really deserve that and deserve to have to be able to play against the best, to be able to figure out what it takes to be the best. So I would schedule the same way. I think those opportunities and the experiences are what really grow you as a team and a program. And I think it's great for the younger players in the program. We also had 12 newcomers, so I think that experience for them is huge too.
Yesterday, you had a close call at Notre Dame, 2-1. Had that home run early to tie it up, and you just couldn't quite get the tying run in late in the game. But another great experience for your team playing in a road environment like that, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the second year in a row we lost to them by 1. So next year, hopefully it's on the other side. And yeah, good team. And again, just challenging ourselves. Obviously in this area, we can get a lot of those midweeks with Michigan State, Notre Dame. So being able to challenge ourselves to prepare ourselves for conference better is good.
Absolutely. We talked a little bit prior to the show leading up how you've kind of been doing pitching by committee a little bit. Yesterday was Casey Fazzini who got the start. She went complete game, 6 innings. She's picked up a couple wins lately. What have you kind of seen from your staff so far?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a different approach this year in strategy just with pitching. Last year Rissa pitched a lot for us and a lot of complete games, but we really haven't had that from the staff this year. So just strategizing and figuring out who's going to get it done for us that day. And even like inning to inning, being strategic, batter to batter. So still working through that and just the consistency piece there. But we have got a lot of different good outings from a lot of different good people. So the depth there is helpful.
And the aggressiveness in the non-conference seems to have paid off, at least at the start of your conference play. You got a road win, series win at Toledo. It's always great to start off conference play with a series win, but especially on the road.
Yeah, that was huge. We came out really strong. Offense is definitely something that I think this team is known for and will continue to be known for and be consistent with. There's not any team that I don't think we can beat offensively. So, I think Coach Pat said this in one of his things, but you got to keep the other team from scoring and you got to score more than the other team. So that's the goal.
One of the things that I noticed, watching your team and especially just digging into the stats a little bit, is your team has hit a heck of a lot of home runs this year, almost as many home runs as you did all of last season already. Was that something that you thought might be the case going in, or was it a conscious thing, we want to get more power hitters in, or is that just kind of the way it's worked out so far?
Yeah, it was definitely the plan to get some more power. I think, we have definitely a different offensive staff, if you will, this year altogether. Anyone throughout our lineup, 9, probably even 12, can hit a home run. So it's been pretty cool to see 8 or 9 different people at this point hit home runs and not just really producing from the same people.
One of those big power hitters so far has been that freshman phenom, Michaela Booth. Team leading 7 home runs already. She's well on her way to potentially bringing breaking the freshman home run record for the program. She's from Allen, Texas, so just a bit of ways away from Kalamazoo. How did you convince her to move up here to snowy Kalamazoo?
That's actually a funny story. She came on what I remember being like the worst snowstorm we've had. It was when we had a lot of snow during Thanksgiving a couple years ago, and she came on her an official visit with her mom, no coat, no boots, and I was like, if Jenny was here at the time, and I was like, if we get this kid, it's big time, and she committed the next day, so it was impressive.
So she wasn't turned off by the snow?
Apparently not.
Well, she's hit 7 home runs so far. You've also got another newcomer in Jordan Smith who's hit 5. Stole her from the rivals up there in Mount Pleasant, and their loss has been our gain so far.
Absolutely, yeah. Between the two of them and the power, obviously we've had some from other players here and there, but they've really taken the bulk of it and really just stepped up to the plate when they needed to. And obviously the RBIs come along with the home runs, so they're carrying us in that stat as well.
As you get ready to get into the meat of your conference season here in the next couple of weeks, what are some of the things that you're kind of focusing on when you're in practice and stuff, just to get you back to the MAC tournament come May?
Yeah, just being able to be outside is a huge thing for us. Obviously, that just kind of happened here last week, so being able to practice realistic to our sport is a really big thing. But I think this team's motto is fun as the roof, and when they are loose and having a good time, we play our best softball. So really trying to figure out how to bring that together with competing every single day in practice. We like to do a lot of different competitions, challenges, have a winner, have a loser, and just test ourselves in practice as well.
You guys have a rare bye weekend this weekend where you don't have any conference games and didn't schedule any non-conference at all. I know a lot of times you want to be out there playing, but this time of the year it's probably kind of nice to be able to take a little bit of a breather and recharge the batteries a little bit before you really get into the teeth of your conference season.
Yeah, I think it actually fell at a good time for us. We did prepare our preseason knowing that we were going to be off our second weekend, so we didn't take any preseason weekends off, so we got to play straight through and have those extra experiences and opportunities so that now we can kind of take this rest period and recover and rejuvenate together.
You go to Michigan next week, and then you finally get those first home games at Ebert Field against Miami, the reigning MAC champs, so I'm sure your team is chomping at the bit to be back in front of the home faithful.
Yeah, absolutely. Super excited to host them and anyone who wants to come play us at Ebert Field.
Absolutely. Well, you brought a couple of seniors tonight, Peyton Kelly and Riley Dittmar. What have they brought as Broncos so far in your time here?
Yeah, so much. They're both leaders for us, captains this year, so just that alone goes a really long way, and thankful to have them for that. They also just both come from other programs, so they bring a lot of different experience. They both have postseason experiences, so just to bring that to the table, it's not a goal for these two to make it to the tournament, but to win the tournament, win an NCAA game.
Absolutely. Well, enjoy your bye weekend, and thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for having us.
That's WVU softball head coach and WVU alum Marley Wilson. We'll be joined by her couple of seniors after this quick timeout. We're here at Old Burdicks at Wings West here on the Bronco Coaches Show.
Burdicks has burgers, not burgers, burgers. All natural, honest to bigness, bona fide, aged steak, beef, burgers. Or chickpea. And Burdicks has beer, not beer, beer. Whether it's winning the big game or winning at life, it all happens right here at Old Burdicks.
Get a fresh view in Kalamazoo. Wander museums, catch a show, and see a classic or two. Unwind, open up, try something new. Bike around, make a splash, and explore nature's hue. Hit the trails, grab a bite, then relax with a brew. Be curious, get loud. There's so much to do. Find all this and more in Kalamazoo.
Welcome back. Our final segment of this week's Bronco Coaches Show. We're joined by a couple of seniors from the SWU softball team. On the far side, we've got Peyton Kelly out of Chino Hills, California, and Riley Whitmar in the middle here from Illinois. I talked with Coach Wilson about this in the last segment. You guys scheduled so aggressively in the non-conference. What has it been like, Riley, we'll start with you, to get an opportunity to play in some of these big tournaments where you're playing some of these big schools?
Yeah, it's been really amazing for us to get the opportunity to play some of those bigger schools. I think it's set us up really well for conference. Getting the chance to play teams like that, it makes conference seem that much simpler. And like, we've gotten to hit against some of the best pitchers that we'll see all year. So I feel like we've set ourselves up really well.
Hey, would you agree with that?
Yeah, going right off of that, I think that it was an incredible opportunity. And also, I just think like, it sets us up, like it gives us confidence, like knowing that when we go into conference, like we can play with anybody.
Absolutely. Since this team first got together in the fall, where would you say that they've grown the most?
I think we've grown the most in offense, I would say. We just continue to like grow with that, and like I think that's like been like our standout thing. Like being completely honest, I think that it's just been incredible, our offense.
Yeah, Riley, you're at the top of the heap in terms of batting average, around 380. Would you agree with that?
For sure. I think we've grown a lot hitting-wise this year, but also chemistry-wise. And there's a lot of new girls this year, so it's been nice to get to know everybody. I think that our culture is really great this year, so it's been awesome getting to grow that throughout the season.
As Coach mentioned, you both came from other programs. What was it like for you when you decided that you were looking for another place to play? What made Western Michigan the right fit for you?
I think that when I decided to transfer, I just knew that I wasn't in the right place for me. Definitely wasn't the best fit, and I was always looking for something a little bit more. The coaching staff here is truly amazing. Like that was something that I was definitely looking for, and also this city is a lot bigger than where I was originally. It's nice to be somewhere where there's more to do. Like that's really something I was looking for, was a bigger community and having more involvement with more people in just a small town. And yeah, I love it here.
You came all the way from California, Hayden, so what made Kalamazoo and Western Michigan the right place for you to transfer?
It is very different, but just as Riley said, I think like Coach Wilson, like she does an incredible job just with everything. She looks at you truly as a human being over a player, which was super important to me because in my last program I didn't really get that. And I just think like you have to be able to step on campus and know that this is something, like this is what I can do for 3 more years, or in my case it was for 3 more years. And I stepped on campus and I was like, Western's it for me.
So you guys have both been here for a couple years now. Hayden, we'll start with you since you have the mic. What has been some of your favorite moments as a Bronco so far?
Oh my gosh. Preseason in Arizona really, like, it was amazing. That was like on the West Coast, which is what like we did everything, like our giving day and like things like that to like be able to go. And my family was there, and that was like my like outside of my immediate family, that was the first time that like people had seen me in a Western uniform. So that was really exciting for me, and we came out really hot. Like even if games didn't go like the way we wanted it to, it was just so exciting, and I think the energy was really, really good for us. And then as Riley brought up chemistry, our chemistry was so good, and it continues to grow.
Riley, what about you? In your 2 years as a Bronco, what have you enjoyed the most so far?
Also preseason tournaments. Last year we were in Florida for 10 days. That was so much fun. Getting to see my family and them getting to travel to all that stuff was really fun too. Also last year I feel like we kind of were underdogs. Like no one really expected us to come out and play the way we did. So getting into the MAC tournament last year was a really big deal for me, and we're hoping to do the same thing this year.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Other than softball, did you guys play anything else growing up? I think I remember that you were a volleyball player in high school?
Yeah, I played volleyball, a little bit of basketball, but mostly volleyball.
When did you know that softball was the one that you wanted to keep going with?
Softball is just, it's hard, and I really like the challenge that softball brings. I always felt like with volleyball and basketball it was so simple, and I like to make everything in my life so complex. So softball is really hard, and I always wanted to strive to be the best at it, so that's why I chose it.
Hayden, what about you? Did you play anything else growing up?
I also played volleyball, not like all the way through high school like Rye. But softball is just, when you succeed at something that's so difficult, it like keeps you coming back for more. So softball was just, it's the best.
So as Coach Wilson was a player here and then found out she wanted to get into coaching, is there anyone on your current team, on your teammates, that you think might be a good coach? Or like, hey, I think when she's done playing, Like we think that she could be the next, player from here to become a coach?
I'm gonna go freshman Parker Ostash. She's just so loose and fun, and I think she would make any experience for any child or anybody coming in. I think she'd make a great coach. Might be a
Yeah. What about you, Riley?
I know that Jaden Merrill really wants to be a coach. I know she's looking to GA right now, but she's really good with a lot of the girls on the team, and she brings a lot of different aspects of the game and also has been through a lot, so I think that she'd do a really good job.
So you guys have had a lot of long trips, a lot of long bus trips. How do you guys like to kill the time?
Well, I do homework almost the entire bus ride, but I don't know about anybody else. I'll watch movies sometimes, but...
Okay. Peyton?
I'm also an essay writer on the bus, but when we're getting really close to games and we have like 30 minutes, I'd say, we always break out in a dance party to keep everything like loose and fun, and Riley likes to dance and get the team going, so.
That's a great way to, get ready for a game, I would imagine. Like you said, keeps it loose and like, you don't want to be so, tight, when you get off the bus. You got to be ready to go.
Yeah.
So, what's your kind of game day routine? Once you get off the bus, what's kind of your routine before the game?
We make sure that we have all the gear, and then we walk in as a team. I think just keeping it really simple. Sometimes I grab a snack or I do something, and then we play hacky. That's a really big one. We play with the hacky sack, and we're trying to beat 21 right now. We're not doing very good at it, but
yeah,
21 seems like a pretty good number, though. I mean, bouncing back and forth. You got people with different levels of skill, I'm sure, at hacky sack. So.
Oh yeah.
I'm at the bottom of the totem pole with the hacky sack.
Riley, do you have anything else that you would add as part of your pregame routine? Like I have to do this, or I have to, this particular way, or put on my uniform or something like that?
When we warm up, I always have to hit front toss first, and then go to the tee, and then go back to front toss. I don't know why. I just feel like that routine works the best for me. I don't have a lot of superstitions. I really don't believe in them. I try not to let other things dictate what goes on in the game, but definitely do that every single time.
Lastly, before we get you guys out of here, you're a biomedical sciences major. That's way over my head. I was never very good at science, but what kind of interests you in that and drew you to it?
Well, I'm pre-med right now, so the plan is to go to medical school eventually. I've always really been interested in medicine, and I've always really loved science. It's a really big part of my life, and I have a lot of family members who have gone through other medical crises that have really opened my eyes to the ways that I can impact other people, and I think that it'd be really good for me to get out there and just impact other people's lives in the ways that I know their doctors have. So that's the goal.
Yeah, that's awesome. Peyton, you mentioned that you're an essay writer on the bus. I'm guessing that's because you're an English major.
Yes.
What drew you to that?
My mom was an English major when she was in high school, and there's just so many avenues that you can take. And last semester I got to do this generational linguistics study, and it was so interesting to me. And I'm actually going to get my master's degree as well in educational linguistics, so I'm looking at that right now.
Awesome. Well, you guys have a bye weekend before you finally get to open up your home schedule next week. I know you guys are excited to finally play at Ebert Field in front of your friends and family again. So enjoy your bye weekend. Thanks for coming out, and we'll see you next weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for this week's Coaches Show. I want to thank both Coach Gernon and Coach Wilson, and these ladies, and Dylan and Ty from the baseball team as well, for stopping by. Don't forget, Bronco baseball doubleheader tomorrow at noon at Robert J. Bob Stadium at Heinz Field. Tickets available at wbroncos.com/tickets. And Bronco hockey this weekend, NCHC semifinals tomorrow night against North Dakota, and potential championship game on Saturday night. That's going to do it for this week's Coaches Show here at Old Burdocks at Wings West. Rob Lau signing off, saying good night, and go Broncos.